Man, he blew up all over that. Man, oh man, that's what you want to do first thing in the morning. You want to throw a buzz bait out there and have a big old Kentucky like that blow up on it. Well, folks, welcome to Fishing Hog Country. It's early in the morning and we're on Grand Lake, and we're going to catch some topwater fish, hopefully. Y'all watch this. We'll be right back with more Fishing Hog Country. Man, that does your heart good, doesn't it? Whoo-wee.
You're watching the Fishing Hog Country television program featuring Express Boats.
There's a good in there. Let's see what we got here. It's a largemouth here. The last one I caught was a Kentucky. Man, I'm throwing a black and blue war eagle buzzbait this morning, and there's another nice bass here on Grand Lake. You know, right now we've got a full moon. You can see it right here over my head. The sun's just coming up. It's late October. It's been really, really warm. These fish are still in the summertime mode, and boy, we're having a ball. When the moon's full like this, you need to get out here early, because they're going to be feeding early in the morning. That's something that I've just been learning over the last year or two. I'm not your typical early in the morning person, but boy, if they're going to hit a buzzbait, I will get myself out of bed, put my feet on the floor, and get out here and get ready to catch them. Because I tell you what, there ain't nothing better than catching them on top. What I've done here, I'm trying to go with your typical deep water, shallow water close to deep water. You can see up there, it's real flat right up there on the bank, but I'm setting in almost 60 foot of water, and there's a bluff between me and that gravel up there. And I'm just sitting here throwing up on the shallow water. And there's another one. That's a Kentucky too. Boy, I tell you what, I'm catching some big old nice fat Kentuckys this morning. That's a nice one right there. Tell you what I'm doing. Let me show you. Throwing that buzzbait up there, and I get it up and get it started, and then I slow it way down. And I reel it as slow as I can reel it and still keep it up on top. Give them an opportunity to get there to it. There's one behind me. Let's see if he'll hit a buzzbait. They're just all around me this morning. when you get started like this and they're coming up around you, sometimes it's hard to keep your focus where it ought to be. Seems like this bluff's a good spot. We're going to work this bluff just a little bit. But I'm going to go back to my original thing here in a minute, which is the gravel on the flat, close to the deep water. But I was just seeing so many fish breaking down here, I thought I'd better get down here and check this out. You can see the trees starting to turn a little bit over here on Grand Lake. Grand Lake's over here in northeast Oklahoma. We got all of our colors are late this year. We haven't had any cold weather really. High today's supposed to be in the high 80s, and it's October the 18th. Let's turn around and go back to our pea gravel. Work our way down toward that point as the sun comes up. Beautiful morning. It's a great morning. It's always a great morning when they'll hit a buzzbait. Hey, little bitty rascal. Little bitty Kentucky. It's funny how these fish on top are mostly Kentuckies this morning. That's a little bitty rascal. That's probably what I had hitting at me a while ago that I didn't catch. Look at the bait, it's just thick. Well, folks, it's lightened up, and I had to go to throwing a spinnerbait. And when the sun came up good, and there's another largemouth bass up here shallow. Now I missed a couple on a spinnerbait earlier, so I went back and put a trailer hook on, and should have done it in the first place, but better late than never. So I caught, I had him on the main hook. I threw up there and missed him, and then threw back up there and caught him. Of course, it may have been his buddy too, I don't know. You can see up here in front of me, you can see for the sun, I'm going the wrong way with the camera behind me, but there's just bait everywhere. Little shad, and I'm throwing a little 1/4 ounce War Eagle spinnerbait. When I get it back here, I'll show you why. Wish I had a dip net, a little fine dip net, because what I'd do is I'd show you the size of the bait, but the bait is about as big as that blade right there. So I'm using a little small willow leaf blades to try to imitate the bait. Now the only thing I may change a little bit later is the watercolor here on Grand Lake is stained compared to the clear lakes that we fish, like Beaver and Table Rock and places like that. So I may want to go to a gold blade, one gold blade and a silver blade here in a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. I'm setting in 4 foot of water, so they're shallow. Fish are real shallow. We need a good one. We had several in the 2-pound range, but we need a real good one's what we need. 3-4 pound fish. Well, there's a fish. Right up on the bank. I don't think he's going to be very big. He just thinks he is. Look at him run. And a largemouth. Beautiful day to go fishing, I'll tell you what. Now, looky there. Good thing I put that trailer hook, huh? If I hadn't had that trailer hook, he'd been swimming. Sometimes you need a trailer hook, and today's one of them days. All right, I learned my lesson. Put one on to start with instead of waiting until you miss 3 or 4 fish, huh? You know, this bass fishing thing's all about learning. At least it is for me. You know, our fishing shows here on Fishing Hog Country, we don't really bring them to you from an expert standpoint, but ever learning. That's what we're about, is learning. You know, and any of you that have watched the show with any regularity know that, you know, my goal, you know, I love to fish and catch anything, but my goal is to become a really good bass fisherman. So that's the reason this year on Fishing Hog Country you're going to see several different types of lakes. You know, with gas being the way it is, we're trying to stay as close to home as we can, but yet still show you as many different kinds of fishing as we can. Last week we were on Beaver Lake up in northwest Arkansas, and it's a clear body of water, really clear. And then we came over here to Grand Lake, and Grand Lake's got a whole different color water. It's got a little more stained water. And then as the year goes on, we're going to be heading south and hopefully fishing in some places like Lake Millwood down in southern Arkansas. And it's got the cypress trees and stumps and all kinds of things in it. And that'll be a whole new ball game from even fishing this water here on Grand Lake that's stained. Well, there's no more of those here on the side of this island. Fall fishing, you want to stay shallow but close to deep. Right there's the main river channel, so we're just close to deep water, but these fish will get up. There's a rock. You know, I used to want to go steep, but I'm learning as my hair turns gray that these fish feed in this flat more than they do the steep stuff. Now, if they're inactive, you're going to get on the steep stuff. But if you want to find fish that are feeding, you're going to need to fish this flat stuff like we're fishing right now. That's a good one too. Oh boy. Ready? Here we go. There's a good fish, folks. You know, I switched off my spinnerbait and it got me a big old plastic worm out. That's a 10-inch tequila sunrise worm. Boy, you got a tough mouth. He wasn't going to come off. Tequila sunrise worm. I told Jackie just a few minutes ago, man, I wish they'd hit them 10-inch worms because I got a 100-count bag full of them. There's a nice fish. Really nice fish. See if we can get another one on the worm. Just Texas rig. Boy, they're shallow. That's the way I like to catch fish. Fishing out there in 20 foot of water, 30 foot of water, at least to me, it's not as enjoyable as catching them shallow. See if we can find another good fish like that. There's another one. He was on out here. Well, that's a good keeper fish there. Look at that. Good quality fish. That's 2.5, 3 pound fish. Boy, he is a chunk. What we're doing here now is, gosh, I'm sitting here looking at that little boat ramp out there, and I'm fishing all the way out from it. Woo! And he took off. And these fish are just stacked in this little cove here. This little saddle comes in here, and we were just working our way in and out, looking to see what was here. And the water was 20 foot deep coming out of the main channel. And then all of a sudden, it started to shallow up a little bit, and then we came over a little hump, and it dropped off again into about 30 foot. And so it's actually like a pond in here. And this particular piece of concrete is just holding fish, and I'm just sitting here fishing all the way out. What seems to be working on the end of this old boat ramp is that there's a bunch of chunks down there, and you can see how it's kind of broken up going up the hill. I think I just messed my worm up too. But what I'm doing is pulling it down to what feels like a chunk of concrete, and I messed up my worm. And it's when I clear it, in other words, when I pull it up over it, the concrete, I'm letting it fall down in there, and I'm just leaving it. Not on a totally slack line, but I've got a little bit of slack in it, and I'm watching my line right where it enters the water. And sometimes you see them before you feel them. As a matter of fact, if you do feel them, a lot of times, I've had several bites I haven't caught, and I've set the hook on stuff I felt and didn't see the line move yet. And on those particular times, I missed them. So once they pick it up and you begin to see the line move just a little bit, then they're on there and you can set the hook on them. They're relating to those pieces of concrete as they come down in here to the water. There's a nice little bass. And that's another keeper. Boy, I stuck him right in the top of the mouth. Another nice bass. Back up. Pretty nice fish. Another keeper bass here on Grand Lake. Well, folks, I hope you've had as much fun as I have. I know you probably haven't, because you're there in the living room and I'm out here on Grand Lake catching fish. If I can get this spinnerbait out of his mouth. There we go. Man, that is so much fun. Come out here and catch fish on a spinnerbait. You know, I'd rather catch fish on a spinnerbait than anything I know of. And in the fall, that's when you can. Don't try to get too big. Try to match your spinnerbait to the size of your bait fish. And if the bait fish are small, go small. look at your watercolor and try to choose something that's going to be seen in the watercolor and look a lot like the bait fish that are all over. Well, if you live down south and you don't get to see this, so take a look. Trees are turning, beautiful fall, and y'all enjoy the fall colors. We'll send that to you as a gift, those of y'all that live down in the piney woods. We'll see you next week on Fishing Hog Country.